Alright, you global pilots, listen here. You fly straight and level over the Earth, and you never take into consideration the curvature of the Earth?
I'm an airline pilot, and we do account for the curvature of the Earth. In straight and level flight, stick a bowling ball down the aisle. It will roll to the back of the plane. That's because the plane in level flight actually flies about 2 degrees nose up. The autopilot is constantly making adjustments to where the plane wants to go.
Look at the plane here, right? And now we're going to fly all the way to the equator over here. The plane's nose, relative to where it was before, is dipped down. So let's fly at a pressure altitude around a globe without dipping the nose down and see what happens. Alright, we're on the top, we're near North America, we fly around to the equator. Now, we're not going to drop the nose down because every pilot admits they'd never need to do that, so let's do it. We go, we end up 90 degrees to where we were before, and now the plane is facing out towards space. And now you're going to cry that gravity just magically tethers you along with the globe. Well, sorry, but that doesn't work either because there's something called the attitude indicator, which is this thing here, which has a gyroscope connected to it, which maintains rigidity in space. And if you were to tether around a globe, because it maintains rigid in space and because the gimbal base or the actual whole aircraft rotates around that gyroscope, you would see it on the artificial horizon, which never happens. If a pilot was to fly from North America to Australia, which are on opposite ends of the globe, the artificial horizon would show no change in orientation, proving that you just fly straight and level to your destination over a flat Earth.
Yeah, it's pitch attitude, but yeah.
Maintains rigidity in space, right? So if you were to tilt the plane up, down, roll, it would show up on the attitude indicator, right? Okay. So if you were to fly from the North Pole, or, to say Australia to the south under here, would your attitude indicator be upside down?
No, it wouldn't.
Welcome to flat Earth. What happened? How come if the attitude indicator didn't flip upside down and maintain rigidity in space, you got a problem here?
Okay, because again, when you look at like this on a map, where the plane is literally it's like almost the length of the Earth, right? When you're
can we both agree that even if we shrink these planes down, you won't be able to see it, but it'll do the same thing? It's going to fly a curved line.
Yeah, just like a car when it goes up on a bridge, right? When it's going over the bridge, it's aimed like this, and it goes up there.
So, if your attitude indicator maintains rigid in space, and you keep a positive attitude, right? You're not changing the plane's orientation in straight level flight. How is it you go from here to here without nosing down?
Oh, again, you do nose down, but it's a gradual. Because the plane in level flight actually flies about 2 degrees nose up.
You said that the attitude indicator maintains rigid in space, right?
Yes. The attitude indicator just gives us reference to our pitch relative to the horizon. That's it.
Okay. Well, if you were to see the pitch data for your plane flying, would it be nosing down in that pitch data to follow the curvature of the Earth, like you said before?
Again, not really, because I also said in the video you can descend. But I'm saying you can descend.
Wait, hang on. That's a major fault.
I can descend the airplane, and the nose is still pitched up. Pitch attitude is not necessarily an indication. When I come into land, I'm descending. My nose is about 3 degrees up.
Welcome to flat Earth. Every time you say you don't need to nose down, that's proving. So let's say this flat line is 4,800 miles, where there would be over 2,000 miles of curvature drop on a globe. What he fails to understand is he's just flying straight and level over the Earth that is flat with a positive attitude to maintain altitude. So if this plane flies over this long distance, he would need to change the plane's orientation over the curved surface. But he doesn't realize that the reason why he's able to come in and land with a positive attitude is because the plane hasn't changed orientation relative to the floor, because the Earth is flat. People want to argue that, yeah, you just fly in a pressure medium, but that pressure medium on the globe would wrap around the globe. So as you can see, if the plane gains too much altitude when flying in a straight line, it would have to drop down to fly in the same air pressure medium. So it would still need to nose down to account for that pressure medium that wraps around the globe. Otherwise, eventually, the plane will be facing away from the globe. What's the furthest distance you've flown with your nose up, positive attitude to maintain lift?
The furthest?
Yeah, with a positive attitude.
I mean, I can show you. I was just showing, what's his name, Caleb? I was just showing
Like
this.
in miles, I guess. Like how far? Like where?
So in miles, this one is about 4,800. This one I did to Europe. So, but again,
4,800 miles.
yes, but again,
Hang on, wait. You flew with a positive pitch for 48,000 miles.
To maintain level or nose up, to climb or even sometimes descend. You're obsessed with the pitch.
This plane at the equator, relative to where it started from, is nose down, right? In space, in the air?
Yes, the one that looks like the Independence Day plane. Yes, if you
Right,
fly,
so
it flies. That's how long is that flight? Like
No. So
15 hours?
if it's nose down relative to where it started, you'd have to adjust for curvature, right?
Yes, like again, like what you're getting.
Hang on. But you just said you flew 4,800 miles and you had a positive pitch. Do you know how much curvature is in 48,000 miles?
Right, but again, did you also see in the video how I showed you right here? So if I was to show you that right there, right? So I've done this before. I've taken a video and sped it up, and it goes like this. It's like a little like a precision like thing like this. It goes like this. So it goes up, down, up, down, up, down. All it cares about is maintaining that altitude. That's it. It does not care about anything else.
How often does it go below horizontal, below zero?
It depends. Not very often. Sometimes. But
So
again,
dude, you're proving my point every time. You're going to be a good flat earther.
the autopilot is constantly making adjustments to where the plane wants to go. Over a matter of 5 hours, it's not enough time in there to actually notice a curvature there.
So this is what 4,800 miles looks like on this supposed globe that he said he had a positive pitch for. Now, if you had a positive pitch for that amount of distance, you would not be able to keep up with the curvature of the Earth. You would fly off the ball into space. It's impossible. You're literally drawing a straight line. So it's crazy. I don't know how these pilots think they're flying around a globe while maintaining a positive pitch for countless thousands of miles in distance, where there's literal thousands of miles worth of curvature drop. It's insane. But yeah, just to put it in perspective, that's a lot of curvature that he didn't account for.
Yeah, I have multiple times, and the pilots that fly the planes, they're trained with manuals that all specifically say to treat the Earth like it's a flat, unmoving plane. Have you flown on a plane? Because I would think that you would have noticed that there was no curve to the horizon, because I've never seen one and I've flown multiple times. Why don't planes adjust for the globe at all? Are the planes flying like this? Or are they flying like this? And I don't want to hear any pseudoscience nonsense. And if the Earth was spinning at thousands of miles an hour, don't you think that it would like mess with flying? Even if you fly in the direction it's spinning, that still is not like... I encourage you to look at emergency flight landing paths. I think you will be very surprised. And most pilots know that the Earth is flat. And physicists, when doing the math, understand that in order to land a plane, it has to be on a flat plane. You cannot land a plane on a sphere. It doesn't, like, you can't do that scientifically or mathematically. You can do it with pseudoscience. You cannot do that with real science.
Excuse me, do you mind?
Hey, how you doing?
Very well, how are you?
Good.
So, you know how we just took a flight of descent?
Yeah.
Did you have to compensate for curvature?
No. Yeah.
So, did you just have to compensate for curvature due to the flight of descent as we landed just now?
No, not necessarily. Yeah.
Alright, thank you so much.
You bet.
So, the pilot just told me that the Earth is flat.
This guy I follow on here named Eyes of Tomorrow launches his own weather balloons all the time, and when there's no fisheye lens and the photo's not sent through NASA, there's no curvature. You cannot look at this and tell me that there's curvature. He posts videos like this like once a week. I've watched all of them. I have not found curvature one time. I don't know about you, but my eyes are good enough for me to trust. I trust in my senses. I don't trust in what a government agency tells me I'm seeing. I could keep going, but I'll just leave you with some food for thought. If a helicopter were to hover in one spot for 20 minutes, would it come back down and land on the same spot? Or would the helicopter be in a different spot? And anybody who tries to push the nonsense of the whole thing was like the atmosphere moving with the earth, like, come on, guys. You can't really believe that. They've taught you to ignore your common sense and just agree with what they tell you you see and experience.
Here's something interesting you might not have ever thought about. You ever wonder how rainbows get their shape? This is how. The first thing to understand is that light has to go through a glass prism, and whenever it goes through that glass prism, it leaves and the light refracts and it goes into all those different colors you see in the rainbow. And light always takes the shape of its glass prism. And you can test this out at home. Get a glass, fill it up with water, and then use a light source to shine it through the glass of water and see what happens. And what you'll find is that the shape of the rainbow is going to be determined by the glass prism's shape. Now, I'm going to blow your mind in a second telling you how a double rainbow works, but the regular rainbow, like I said earlier, the light has to go through a glass prism, which is the firmament, and when that light goes through the firmament, that light refracts through it, and that's how all those colors appear in the rainbow. Now, an interesting thing to know is that you can't see the rainbow unless you have the water to act like a screen. That's why you can see the rainbow whenever it rains, is because the rain acts like a screen. So whenever you get the water hose and get it out on a sunny day, you can see a rainbow because the water acts like a screen. Now, I told you we were going to get deep. Let's talk about that double rainbow. So right here in this picture, you can see the original rainbow in the sky. There's a double rainbow right above it. And then in the water, there's a reflection of the rainbow. So let's talk about the reflection in the water really fast. You can see the colors on the one in the water and the original rainbow. The colors are inverted. And that's because the one in the water is just a reflection of the original. And now for the really cool part that's going to blow your mind. The rainbow that's above the original rainbow, when you see that double rainbow appear, notice how the colors are inverted on that double rainbow. It's because the original rainbow is being reflected off of the glass prism above it. That's right, the original rainbow is being reflected off the glass firmament, and that's why a double rainbow appears to be inverted with the colors. Now, I'm going to show you a science experiment you can do at home to show you for a fact that a double rainbow is being reflected off of the glass firmament. Watch this. Get a piece of paper and draw a rainbow on it. Hold it up to a glass mirror and see how the colors invert when you're holding it up to a glass mirror. You've been lied to your whole life. Wake up to the truth and it'll change your life forever. If you want to see more content, check out my profile. Have an awesome day.
Hang on a second. Weren't we only supposed to be able to see the sun or the moon? Because according to the globe model, if the Earth is orbiting around the sun and the moon is orbiting Earth, we'd only be able to see one at a time because the moon comes out at nighttime and the sun comes out at the daytime. So how is this possible that we've always been able to see both at the exact same time? And of course, now that I'm living in Hawaii, the most beautiful and spiritual place I've ever been to in my entire life, I can surely attest that you can see both the sun and the moon at the same time, all throughout the day. Now, can you tell me how this is possible on the globe model? Can you tell me how any of this is possible? Look at that infinitely level plane. I feel like I'm playing Minecraft when I'm in Hawaii. Especially now that I'm getting into permaculture and things of that sort. Learning to be self-sufficient so that daddy government doesn't always tell me what to do. Of course, they're gonna try. And they might. However, I can surely attest that that sun is local and close because you can feel that baby burning on your skin here. I'm talking super high UV rays. Very good for your soul. Anyways, this was satire.
So we all know refraction or light will bend towards the denser medium.
So I don't know what you're trying to do here. It's like you're just proving to me how maximum of an NPC you are. It's like you're only deceiving those who are already deceived. So I believe in the God of the Bible, the God of true love, one truth, and I follow his word. His word says Satan is the god of this world. Satan, oh, the father of lies. Oh, he's a deceiver. He gives you the truth. Light bends towards the denser medium and then tells you, oh, the densest medium is air pressure. So focus on that. Okay. I'm telling you, as a brother, water is what creates magnification and refraction. Yes, there's a lot of water evaporation on the ground level. So it peaks at the bottom and then creates this bulge like a lens, like the Fresnel lens, denser in the middle, which creates this atmospheric lensing. So with the lensing of the atmosphere, as the sun goes away, it creates this illusion of it setting. And if you know science, the inverse square of light doesn't travel forever. So as it goes further away, it takes its light with it, and that's why there's night and day. Oh, it's so hard to understand. But as it goes away, it bends down, and as it comes down in an angle, crosses a dense medium of clouds. Then if light bends towards the denser medium, wouldn't it make sense for it to bend up and light up the clouds from underneath? It makes sense to me. It's like us God believers, we know there's truth in a lot of places, but we have to use our discernment to gather up the truth and throw away the bullshit. But apparently you eat it all up. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, so there is a discrepancy here, right? So it's off, and we have some issues. So if we can't use the Flat Earth Map app, and you can't use whatever this gentleman was using here,
I see the problem you're having. You have what I call the straight line syndrome. You're mixing the two beliefs, believing that the sun rays come in straight. The sun is not straight. We use the dome model, the glass dome model. We take everything natural as God's truth, not by coincidence. We don't just, that's just a coincidence that light disperses, just like the Walter Bislin's program software. We don't do that. We believe everything natural is God's truth. So your straight line is this sun, this orange line right here. That's the moon, that's the sun, where you would see it. But I gave you coordinates to where the sun would be. So if we compare this picture, this line to that straight line, compared to where this line was supposed to be, where the sun is, where the coordinates I gave you, you could kind of tell why you don't understand or you misunderstand our model. But yes, the matrix will tell you that this is based on a globe model, just flattened out. It's an azimuthal map. But we don't buy what they tell us. We go off what we see, scientifically and practically correct as it is. And if you go read Alexander Scalise's book, he is a flat earther. He wanted this map in every school, but something happened. I wonder why. With that said, same thing with the Walter Bislin's program software. They tell us it's based on a heliocentric model, but I know it's based off the geocentric model. But up to you what you want to believe.
It came in the mail and y'all are opening it with me. Ooh. Just smell it. Woo! Here we go.
The Flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni, and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.